Why midnight Social Security alerts are causing confusion. I'm really glad you're here right now because this is one of those moments where clarity matters just as much as the money itself. Across the country tonight, millions of Social Security recipients are checking their bank accounts at midnight. Some are seeing deposits, some are seeing the word pending, and others are seeing nothing at all. That uncertainty creates fear fast, especially when this money isn't extra income, but rent money, grocery money, medication money. Let me say this clearly from the start. If your payment has not shown up at midnight, it does not automatically mean something is wrong. What you're experiencing is not a mistake. It is not a missed payment, and it is not your fault. This confusion happens because Social Security payments move through multiple systems, not just one. The Social Security Administration releases payments, but banks control when those funds actually appear in your account. And those two timelines do not always match, especially overnight. Right now, we are at the beginning of a new payment cycle. Some banks choose to post funds early, even before the official payment date. Other banks wait until business hours, batch processing, or the next banking window. That's why you might hear someone say, "I got paid at midnight," while your account still looks unchanged. In this series, I'm going to slow everything down and walk you through exactly how this system works, so confusion turns into understanding and anxiety turns into calm. How Social Security payments actually move through the system. To understand what's happening, we need to separate two things that are often confused: Social Security release time and bank posting time. The Social Security Administration does not deposit money directly into your bank account. Instead, SSA sends payment instructions to the United States Treasury. The Treasury then creates large payment files and releases them through the federal payment system. Once that file is released, banks take over. And here's the key point. Every bank has its own rules for when it posts incoming funds. Some banks post immediately when they receive the Treasury file. Others wait until the next processing window. Some post overnight, others wait until morning or even the next business day. This is why two people receiving the same benefit on the same schedule can see their money at completely different times. Midnight deposits are not controlled by Social Security. They are a bank decision, not a government decision. This system works well most of the time, but at the start of a payment cycle, especially overnight, it creates confusion. Seeing pending does not mean the money is missing. Seeing nothing does not mean the payment failed. It simply means your bank has not finished processing yet. Once you understand this separation, something important happens. The fear eases because you realize the system is moving even if you can't see it yet. Why some people see deposits at midnight while others don't. One of the most common questions I hear is this: if Social Security paid everyone, why did my neighbor get paid at midnight and I didn't? The answer has nothing to do with favoritism, mistakes, or skipped payments. It has everything to do with how banks choose to process incoming funds. When the Treasury releases a Social Security payment file, banks receive that file at different times and handle it differently. Some banks choose to post funds as soon as the file arrives, even if it's late at night. Others wait until their next internal processing window, which may be early morning or the next business day. This is why midnight activity creates so much confusion. A bank that posts early may show the deposit at 12:01 a.m. Another bank may show the same payment as pending, and another may show nothing at all until later that day. All three situations can be completely normal. What's important to understand is this: Social Security did not treat these people differently. The payment was released. The system did its job. From that point on, the timing is controlled by the bank, not the government. Weekends, holidays, and overnight processing make these differences even more noticeable. Banks run fewer processing cycles during these times, which can delay posting without delaying payment. So if you don't see your money at midnight, take a breath. The system is moving. Your bank just hasn't finished yet. What pending really means and why it's not a bad sign. Seeing the word pending next to your Social Security deposit can be unsettling, especially late at night. For many people, that single word is enough to trigger panic. But here is the truth. Pending does not mean your payment is missing. When a deposit shows as pending, it means your bank has received notice of the incoming payment, but it has not completed its final posting process yet. The money is essentially in line. It just hasn't reached the finish line. Banks use the pending status as a temporary holding stage. During this time, internal checks are completed, batch files are finalized, and posting rules are applied. Some banks clear this stage quickly, others wait until morning or the next business day. What matters most is this: pending is movement, not a problem. It actually confirms that the system is working. The Treasury sent the payment, the bank received it. Now the bank is processing it according to its own schedule. This is especially common overnight, on weekends, or near holidays when banks run fewer processing cycles. During those times, pending statuses can sit unchanged for several hours without anything being wrong. So if you see pending, resist the urge to panic. Don't make frantic phone calls. Don't assume something went wrong. Pending means the money is on the way, and in most cases, it will be available soon. Normal payment. Timing versus real delays. You should watch for. At this point, an important question comes up. How do you know the difference between normal timing and a real delay? Because not seeing your Social Security payment right away feels serious, but most of the time, it isn't. Under normal conditions, it is completely reasonable for a payment to appear later in the morning, later in the day, or even the next business day, depending on your bank's processing schedule. Overnight gaps, pending statuses, and delayed posting during weekends or holidays are all part of normal system behavior. What is not normal is a payment that is missing several full business days after the scheduled date. Social Security follows what is commonly known as the 3 business day rule. This means if your payment does not appear within 3 full business days after your official payment date, that is when it becomes appropriate to take action. Before that point, calling Social Security usually will not speed anything up. The funds may already be released and simply waiting on bank processing. It's also important to remember that checking your account repeatedly does not change the outcome. It only increases stress. The key is patience paired with awareness. Know your scheduled payment date, understand your bank's habits, and give the system time to finish its job. Most delays resolve on their own. Real problems are rare, but knowing the difference keeps worry from taking over. Who gets paid when understanding the Social Security payment schedule? One of the biggest sources of confusion around Social Security payments is the schedule itself. Many people assume everyone gets paid on the same day. That is not how the system works. Social Security uses different payment schedules depending on when you started benefits and what type of benefit you receive. If you started receiving Social Security before May of 1997, your payment is usually scheduled for the 3rd day of the month. If you receive Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, payments are normally scheduled for the 1st day of the month unless that day falls on a weekend or federal holiday. For retirement and Social Security disability insurance beneficiaries who started after 1997, payment dates are tied to your birthday. Birthdays from the 1st through the 10th are paid on the 2nd Wednesday. Birthdays from the 11th through the 20th are paid on the 3rd Wednesday. Birthdays from the 21st through the 31st are paid on the 4th Wednesday. That is the policy schedule. But here is the key point. The schedule tells you when the payment is released, not when your bank must post it. This is why 2 people on the same benefit can see money at different times. The schedule starts the process. Banks finish it. Why 2 people on the same benefit can get paid at different times. This is one of the most frustrating situations people describe. 2 neighbors, same benefit type, same payment schedule, but one sees money in their account and the other doesn't. It feels unfair, but it's not an error. Once Social Security releases a payment, banks control the final step, and banks do not all operate the same way. Even branches of the same bank can process files at different times depending on system load, internal rules, and overnight batching. Some banks process Treasury files immediately, others wait until the next business cycle. Some post deposits early as a customer service feature. Others wait until funds are fully cleared. This is why one person might wake up to money already available while another waits until mid-morning or even later in the day. The benefit amount is the same, the payment is not missing. The timing difference comes from banking behavior, not Social Security policy. Weekends and holidays magnify these differences. When banks reduce processing cycles, delays become more visible, even though nothing is wrong. It's important not to compare your account to someone else's. Doing so only increases anxiety and confusion. Your payment timeline is determined by your bank, not your neighbor's experience. Understanding this removes a lot of unnecessary stress. Different timing does not mean unequal treatment. It simply reflects how decentralized the banking system really is. How Medicare, COLA, and deductions affect what you see. Another reason Social Security deposits can look confusing is because the amount you see is not always the amount that was originally released. Before your payment ever reaches your bank, certain deductions and adjustments may already be applied. One of the most common is Medicare Part B premiums. For many beneficiaries, these premiums are automatically deducted from Social Security before the deposit is sent. That means the money arriving at your bank is already net of that cost. Cost of living adjustments, or COLA, also play a role. COLA increases are applied automatically, but they can be offset by higher Medicare premiums or prior adjustments. This can cause people to expect one amount and see something slightly different. There are also situations involving overpayment recoveries, voluntary tax withholding, or benefit adjustments that reduce the deposit before it posts. None of this happens at the bank level. It happens before the payment is released. This is why a deposit may appear smaller, different, or delayed while calculations finalize. For people receiving multiple benefits, such as Social Security and SSI, the timing can add another layer of confusion. These are separate payments processed on separate schedules. One may arrive while the other is still pending. The key takeaway is this: a different amount does not automatically mean an error. It often means the system applied required deductions correctly before releasing your funds. Groups that often experience extra payment confusion. Not everyone experiences Social Security payments the same way. Certain groups of beneficiaries are far more likely to see delays, pending statuses, or unusual timing, and that can create extra anxiety if you don't know why. One group is widows and widowers receiving survivor benefits. These payments follow Social Security rules, but the timing can still depend on the original work record and bank processing behavior. Another group is disabled adult children, often called DAC beneficiaries. These payments are tied to a parent's work record, which can cause different processing sequences and posting times at the bank level. Couples receiving supplemental security income together may also notice timing differences. Because their benefits are processed as a combined household record, posting can sometimes appear delayed compared to individual accounts. There are also dual beneficiaries, people who receive both SSI and Social Security disability or retirement benefits. These are two separate payments released on different schedules. One can arrive while the other is still processing. Finally, beneficiaries with a representative payee may experience additional verification steps from banks. These safeguards are meant to protect funds, but they can slow posting slightly. None of these situations means something is wrong. They simply add layers to the system. Understanding which group you fall into can explain why your experience looks different and why patience matters. How the federal payment and ACH system really works. To truly understand Social Security payment timing, we need to talk about the system behind the scenes. Most Social Security payments move through something called the Automated Clearinghouse, or ACH. This is the national electronic network used for direct deposits across the United States. Here's how it works in simple terms. The Treasury sends a large payment file into the ACH system. That file passes through the Federal Reserve, which acts as a clearing hub. From there, individual banks retrieve the file and begin their own internal processing. This is where timing differences happen. Large banks often process ACH files multiple times per day. Smaller banks may process only once. Some banks retrieve files overnight. Others wait until the start of business hours. So even though the Treasury releases payments on time, banks do not all receive or post those files at the same moment. Weekends and federal holidays add another layer. ACH processing slows down or pauses entirely. A payment released before a holiday may not be posted until the next business day, even though it technically left the Treasury earlier. This is normal system behavior, not a malfunction. The ACH system is designed for security and accuracy, not speed. And while it usually works smoothly, it can feel painfully slow when you're waiting on essential income. Understanding this system helps replace fear with logic. Your payment isn't lost. It's moving through a system built in stages. Why weekends, holidays, and overnight hours change everything. Timing confusion often peaks around weekends, holidays, and late-night hours, and there's a reason for that. Banks do not process payments the same way outside normal business hours. During overnight periods, weekends, and federal holidays, bank processing cycles are reduced or paused entirely. That means even if your Social Security payment has already been released, your bank may not finalize posting until the next full business day. This is where midnight anxiety sets in. You check your account at 12:01 a.m. Nothing is there. You check again at 2:00 a.m. Still nothing. But what's really happening is simple. Your bank has the payment file, but its system is waiting for the next scheduled processing window. Holidays amplify this effect. If a payment is released just before a holiday weekend, the Treasury may send it on time, but banks may not post it until the holiday passes. This can make it feel like the payment is late, even when it's not. Overnight hours are especially misleading. Some banks post deposits during early morning cycles, others wait until mid-morning or afternoon. None of this reflects a problem with Social Security itself. Understanding this helps you stop chasing the clock. Midnight is not a deadline, it's just a moment in a much longer process. What Social Security can and cannot control. One of the biggest misunderstandings surrounding Social Security payments is believing that the Social Security Administration controls every step of the process. They do not. Social Security's responsibility is to calculate your benefit correctly and release the payment on schedule. Once that payment is sent to the U.S. Treasury and entered into the federal payment system, SSA's role largely ends. From that point forward, banks take control. Social Security cannot force your bank to post funds at midnight. They cannot speed up overnight processing. They cannot override weekend or holiday banking rules. There is no button SSA can press to make your deposit appear faster. This is why calling Social Security late at night or early in the morning almost never changes anything. In many cases, the representative will see the payment marked as released and advise you to wait for bank processing to complete. That advice isn't dismissive, it's accurate. Understanding this distinction matters. It helps you direct your energy where it actually helps, instead of adding stress where there is no control. If the payment has been released, SSA has done its job. The rest is timing, processing windows, and bank policy. Knowing what Social Security can and cannot control gives you clarity, and clarity is what replaces panic. When you should actually take action and who to contact. After understanding how the system works, the next question becomes critical. When should you actually do something? The answer is simpler than most people think. Social Security follows what's known as the 3 full business day rule. This means if your payment has not appeared 3 complete business days after your scheduled payment date, that is when action becomes appropriate. Before those 3 days pass, contacting Social Security or your bank usually won't speed anything up. In most cases, the payment is already moving through the system and simply hasn't reached the final posting stage yet. Once the 3 business day window has passed, start with your bank, not Social Security. Ask whether they see a pending or incoming Treasury payment on your account. Banks can often confirm whether the file has arrived, but not yet posted. If the bank confirms there is no incoming payment on record, then it's time to contact Social Security. When you do, be prepared. Have your Social Security number, your expected payment amount, your bank information, and the scheduled payment date ready. This approach saves time, reduces stress, and prevents unnecessary calls. The most important thing to remember is this: most situations resolve without intervention. Knowing when to wait and when to act keeps you in control instead of in panic. Final reassurance. What to remember when you see pending. As we close this series, there is one final message that matters most. When you see the word pending on your Social Security deposit, or when you don't see your payment right away, it does not automatically mean something is wrong. It means the system is working. Social Security payments move through layers: the Social Security Administration, the U.S. Treasury, the federal ACH system, and finally your bank. Each layer has its own timing rules. Delays overnight on weekends or around holidays are not warnings. They are normal. The most important thing to remember is this: panic does not speed up processing. Repeatedly checking your account at midnight doesn't change the outcome. What does change the experience is understanding how the system works. Know your scheduled payment date. Understand your bank's habits. Remember the 3 business day rule. Most payments arrive exactly as they should, just not always at the same moment for everyone. And just as important, protect yourself from misinformation. Social Security will not threaten you. They will not demand gift cards, wire transfers, or urgent midnight calls. If someone does, it's a scam. Knowledge replaces fear. Understanding replaces anxiety. The next time you see pending, take a breath. the system is moving, and in almost every case, your payment is right on its way.